With gratitude to those who've served our nation, we want to say Happy Memorial Day. Welcome again to Late Night Parents. My name is Ted Hicks. And seated beside me is none other than Rich Valdez.
What's going on, Ted? Good afternoon. Good day. I know we're not supposed to say afternoon and all.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Yes. Yeah, cover all the bases.
Let's cover all the bases. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Late Night Rich, Real Ted Hicks, and who's absent again?
You know, I'm starting to get used to having this empty seat across from us. You know,
I don't know.
Dr. Michele, where are you?
Dr. Michele is just returning from going abroad with selling her book,
Nice.
book tours, everything else like that. I'm starting to think she's going to be too big for this little show.
I know, but you know, she's a good person. She'll remember the little people.
That's true.
So we'll be okay.
Yes, but I did just speak to the good doctor, and she's doing well.
Good.
And she has a book signing local in New York, Long Island, next week in Westbury.
Awesome.
And we'll put that information out on the website when we have it directly.
Okay.
And we'll take it from there. So big moves with Dr. Michele with her new book. Definitely got to go out there and support it. It's available on the Late Night Parents Facebook page. You'll see a poster too with her face and her book and a link to Amazon to purchase.
Awesome.
So that's wonderful. Richie V, we're not a sports show.
No, we're an everything show.
More like a hybrid show.
Okay.
You know, I don't know.
We cover everything.
You can convince me otherwise. I mean, I like to think we're more current events in movies and tech more than a sports show.
We are, and we dabble in politics a little bit, and we definitely talk about parenting and relationships.
It's true. That's true.
And we talk sports here and there, too.
I think it's nice.
Wait, I'm sorry. You talk sports here and there. I am not the sports guy.
Stop it.
I am not the sports guy.
I think it would be nice to have a week where we could have a president that's normal. That there's a normal week. That there's not 4 or 5 scandals spinning in the background, and we're looking for Olivia Pope. And did you hear next season is the last season for
a scandal?
Of Scandal. What are all those people on Instagram and Facebook going to do with their lives on Thursdays?
You know, there's another show queued up.
Oh my God!
That was a good show. They lost me for a couple of seasons.
I've never watched it.
First couple of seasons are entertaining.
Oh, okay.
Third and fourth, it starts to fall off a bit. And I as I understand, the most recent, which was season 6, I believe, it came back to its old glory. So the last season should be really good. So I may watch it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, our dear president. Not to get all political and all.
Yeah.
But you don't put your hands on anybody.
Come on.
Forget anything else he's done so far.
A baboon.
Pushing another head of state out of the way, and then to stand in front of the camera and throw your face out there like, you look at me.
It's a bozo.
What did I read today? Some other world leaders are like, nah, we don't need to meet with them because we'll meet with the next president in a couple of months.
I want to give a big shout out to the 405 Media out in Los Angeles, California. They're a right-leaning conservative station that carries our show.
Okay.
I want to thank the folks here at WGBB, West Babylon, New York, where we air live exclusively on this network. This is the only way to catch a live show.
Our home station.
Home station it is. So at the onset of the show, Rich, we were talking about we're not a sports show, but every now and then we delve into the business of sports.
Mm-hmm.
You might not hear us quote stats
No.
or this player did XYZ, but we might talk about the business, and that's what the basis of tonight's show is. Tonight's episode is called Fix My League. And we don't have beat writers or bloggers or, analysts on the show. Tonight, our two guests are two fans, super fans, I might say, because I've attended sports functions with them all around the world. This later next month, late July, I will be in Toronto.
Nice.
With both of our guests tonight to check out the Blue Jays against the Angels.
Very good. Very nice.
So our first guest of the night is Marc Lewis, dad extraordinaire, lives in the DMV area, and he's just been anointed
as
the new NBA commissioner. Just for the show.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, when did this happen?
Well, he's dealing with a lot.
Okay.
We're going to bring him on in the next 10 seconds, but ratings were down this year for the NBA. Some of that is the hangover from the Hillary and Trump debacle.
Right.
Rest became a topic.
And I'm sorry, I think that people are also just bored with the sport. It just did not seem that exciting. Even for me, the non-sports guy, it was even less exciting than it normally is.
Yes.
It's like, why should I even bother watching any of this? If there's like three guys who I care about even once in a while viewing on TV, and they may not be there, it just wasn't exciting enough to even bother. So I think that might be a general consensus. So
all the analysts from TNT and ESPN talked about the rest topic. The playoffs itself have been lackluster. I think we've been waiting for the last 7 months for Warriors-Cavs.
We knew it was happening. Right?
It's going to happen in a few days. So I want to welcome on Marc Lewis. Marc, how you doing?
Good. Good evening. Glad to be back. How is everyone?
Oh, good, Marc. How are you? Thanks for joining us again.
I'm doing well. Glad to be back again, as I said before.
Perfect. So I'll let Rich is going to ask the first two questions of our newly minted commissioner, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Let's see, Mr. Commissioner.
Yes.
We've been waiting all season long for this, the trifecta trilogy. We're here. It's going to happen. What do we have to do to catch up with all the hype that's been surrounding all that's going on?
Probably go outside and shoot off fireworks on your own because, as you guys mentioned before, I was listening, obviously, and this has been a slow crawl since Game 7 last year, right? Everybody pretty much knew the outcome of what the finals were going to be, but in reality, it almost has to top everything that happened in last year's finals. I mean, but I don't see that happening. And when I say top, Draymond Green got ejected, right? Golden State had two key players down last year. Bogut, some would say not as key, but Draymond got ejected off of a controversial flagrant foul. For it to top last year's finals, I think he has to be either close to or get ejected again just to create some drama, right? I think this year a lot of folks are on the Golden State side in terms of are they going to win the finals this year, but I don't think Draymond's not getting ejected this year because he only has 2 technicals in the playoffs, and you need 7 to get ejected. Unless he does something totally outlandish, he'll be in every game this year, so there won't be any excuses for Cleveland. Not saying that they needed an excuse last year. And it also has to go to full 7-game scenario. The ratings were down, obviously, last year, I think, in part because of the hangover of people expecting the same result this year in the finals. It's going to have to go 7 games just to get people excited and more interested in last year. So I think those are the two main reasons. I don't think LeBron's getting ejected anytime soon. That won't happen. I don't think the refs or Mr. Silver would let that happen since I'm the commissioner this year. It definitely won't happen. So 7 games and Draymond to get ejected, which he won't, and that's the only way. That's the only way it'll happen. Close games and no blowouts. That's the only way possible.
All right, well then let's take that a step further, right? Since, again, as you've indicated, we've seen this coming. You know, this is 3 seasons now. It's Golden State, it's Cleveland, walking through the rest of the leagues, basically. Do we have to put anything in place to stop these super teams from forming? You know, is it got to be contract deals changes or min-max deal changes? I mean, what do we do to keep this from becoming, you know, legacy almost? Just a couple of teams walking through year over year.
Well, you know, these supermax contracts that the NBA has just incurred for it's effective July 1st, and so the supermax for 2017. So it'll be in play for a certain amount of players this year, and it basically says it rewards the teams that have original draftees who are their superstars, i.e. this year there's a few up for that, and that would be the Steph Currys, the Kawhi Leonards, the folks that have at least 8 to 9 years of tenure in the league, have never changed teams, and either has been like the player of the year the last couple of years, or the defensive player of the year in the previous year. So it's got to be your upper echelon talent that's never changed teams, basically your best player who you originally drafted. That'll at least, you know, put the kibosh on some of these, you know, this Kevin Durant situation where folks are just bolting from one team to another to eliminate the balance of power in the league. So I think what you'll have players thinking about, well, should I leave? But they have that incentive to stay with their original team and make upwards of, you know, $30 to $40 million more with their original team. That'll keep in place a lot of the talent, especially on some of these smaller market teams where folks are going to Golden State and so forth. We'll see how that plays out. What I don't think will happen, though, is a lot of the role players, since they are not necessarily, you have to be designated as that player at the end of the year. Some of the second, third-tier players, they may end up switching teams, and that may affect more of the balance of power throughout the NBA in the next few years. Because, again, that supermax deal is only designated for one specific player, and you'll have that'll create some flexibility for your second or third role player, if you will, switching teams beyond the league. But it definitely impacts more in a positive fashion those Steph Currys, those Kawhi Leonards, those Russell Westbrook type players who are up for it in the next few years.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Ted. Oh, never mind. All right, Manager Lewis, we got a question.
All right.
So now we're going to switch this up just a little bit here.
Okay.
Someone that has become near and dear to both Ted and I's hearts. Okay, you have the number 2 draft pick.
Okay.
A certain young man is up.
Number 2 draft pick. I wonder who you could be referring to.
A certain young man and his father happen to be up.
Oh, his father, huh? I have no idea who you're referring to. Can you give me one more hint? No. I think I know you're talking about it.
What do you do about Mr. Ball and his son, Mr. Ball?
Short of extraditing Ball to like Poland or something like that, where they have gag orders in effect. This is a tough one. I think, the good thing, or the potential good thing with the second pick in the league is it is going, right now, it looks like it's going to go to the Lakers, right? And we know a couple of months prior to this, Magic Johnson has now been appointed as all things Mr. All Things Basketball when it comes to making decisions with the Lakers. He is a god in Los Angeles. He is a god with the Lakers. Magic's clouds hover over that city in in all things positive out there. And so Lavar Ball and his son, all of his sons, including Lonzo, they basically look up to Magic. I think if I'm the commissioner, I sit down with Magic and say, listen, Magic, and Jeannie Buss as well, because she's involved and they've been involved with the team for so long. They will definitely instill some type of verbiage within that contract. Because Lonzo, if he gets drafted by the Lakers, there's no doubt he'll sign.
Right.
There'll be some kind of verbiage where it'll be almost forbidden, if you will, for the senior Ball, Lavar Ball, to go to the media with certain comments and things. I know he's about his dollars and he's about his son making money and all that good stuff. But Magic has been through this ever since the day he got drafted by the Lakers. So he knows the ins and outs of the business. He'll know what to do to kind of preclude Mr. Ball himself from being a little too obnoxious with his words in the media and such. And that'll kind of allow his son to hopefully flourish within that organization. I'm rooting for Lonzo.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll nip that in the Magic and that brain trust. They'll nip that in the bud, at least for the first 4 years of Lonzo's contract. And then if he lives up to any kind of expectations, if they re-sign him and they do have success, I think Magic, they'll take some pressure off Mr. Ball and some of the flexibility off of Mr. Ball. Well, he'll be able to speak a little bit more. But with success comes a lot of criticism.
Right.
And if they win, a lot of that criticism will be negated, which means he'll be able to run off at the mouth a little bit more. But we'll see. I think Magic has a handle on a lot of that out there. He has a tenor for Los Angeles and what Mr. Ball is doing out there. And I think the respect is mutual from a fan perspective, them growing up watching Magic where LaVar will watch his words. He'll be on his P's and Q's if his son gets signed, I think. I really do. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
But I really do.
Mark, quick question for you. Who are you pulling for in the NBA Finals? How many games? Who's your breakout star, and who's your potential sleeper?
This is a good one. I know this is the third year in a row these teams are playing. Ho-hum. I don't recall. I mean, I know this is the first time in history that three teams have met in the finals. I don't recall the disdain when the Celtics and the Lakers were making finals like these in the 80s, but I digress. I am actually rooting for Cleveland. There's something to be said for LeBron James breaking down all of the barriers and all of the naysayers in which he faced over the years. I know he did taking my talents to Miami, but he has proven that he is the singular best player in the world and most valuable, by the way. I don't know how he didn't get any votes a couple of weeks ago when I watched that on the NBA a couple of nights ago. But anyway, I'm rooting for him. I really do. I want him to get another feather in his cap, and only because I'm kind of against the whole three-point shot winning a championship phase. But here's the reality. Golden State has another player, an MVP caliber player, Kevin Durant. And I just, given Cleveland's defensive inefficiencies the last 3 to 4 months, I don't see them beating Golden State this year. Draymond's not getting ejected. They built up with size and toughness, i.e. Matt Barnes and JaVale McGee. Those guys are this era's Rick Mahorn, and pick any other center you want to pick in the 80s. That's not saying a lot for toughness and size, but it is what it is in this day and age. I would love it to go 7, and I would love for Cleveland to upset Golden State. But it's not going 7. It's going to go 6 games, and Golden State will come out on top this year.
Okay.
You've been demoted to general manager. So in this segment, you've been commissioner, president, and now general manager. You have one Supermax deal, and guess what? you have a choice of Durant gets it or Curry gets it. What's your answer?
Well, I'm going to be brief on this one. Steph Curry, great player, two-time MVP, but he's 6'3", and he literally had his life taken from him in last year's finals by a guy named Kyrie Irving. So, from that perspective, I mean, Kevin Durant can shoot just as good as Steph Curry. He's 9 inches taller with a 80-inch wingspan. He can play all the positions on the floor. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Kevin Durant is that guy. The only caveat I would add to that is I don't believe Kevin Durant is eligible for a Supermax deal because he's on a different team. He spent his first 8-9 years with Oklahoma City, which means he's not eligible the next couple of years. So by default, I would have to give it to Steph. But if I had a choice, all things being equal, it's Kevin Durant hands down. Kevin Durant is a year younger. He has a couple more years' experience because he came into the league earlier. But, I mean, Kevin Durant is, easily top 2 player in the league. Him and LeBron, period.
You've excelled as the de facto, Uber president at the NBA. I'm going to just throw you one question that's MLB related. And it's a safety. Everything that MLB talks about where, it's what used to be the national pastime. What's it going to take for the security netting to be installed at the field level section at every MLB venue? Like, does someone really have to die? How many times do we have to see someone being carried off in a stretcher?
Yes, that's exactly what is going to have happen. Either I have a running bet that Pete Rose will be in the Hall of Fame before these nets are installed in these stadiums. It's atrocious. I mean, MLB, baseball has considerably been slow to progress. And I'm not talking about, the All-Star game changes where after a couple of years ago, you remember Bud Selig throwing up his hands because both teams on the All-Star game used all their players and ended a 7-7 tie. That is that is the ultimate indication of how unprogressive, if you will, baseball is. It's gotten a little bit better with the commissioner regime change from Selig to Rob Manfred. So I think he is looking into it a little bit more serious than in previous years. It's been a conversation for the last few years, serious conversation. But I'm with you. I seriously don't think someone will have to get either impaled by a bat, or unfortunately killed by a ball. For them, Japan does it routinely. All of the baseball stadiums in the Japan league, in the Japanese league, they have it without a problem, and they're fanatics about their baseball out there, and I just don't understand why this movement hasn't come to fruition yet. But yeah, I don't see it happening. I really don't. Unfortunately, it's going to have to take some, poor fan to have to suffer at the hands of a ball or a broken bat. Because if you notice, the bats have been flying over the last 10, 15 years. The bats allegedly are inferior, and they've been breaking in high number. So, yeah, I don't see it happening until something happens, and that's kind of true to how baseball has moved in the last 15 years. Unfortunately, I would like it to happen before that. I just don't see it. I really don't.
Gotcha. Mark, definitely want to thank you for coming on, joining us for Fix My League, and we will see you. I know specifically I'll see you shortly in Canada later this summer.
Bart Scott, can't wait.
You got it.
It's been a pleasure, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you, guys. Always
All right,
a pleasure.
Mark.
Thank you.
Mark.
Bye-bye.
Rich, I want to switch subjects for a quick second.
Sure.
There was an article that came out. HDR sets to surpass 4K sets by 2020. Excuse my ignorance. Isn't HDR another version of 4K?
I'm going to say I've read some of this.
Right.
And the thing is, some TVs that are being produced now may be getting branded with like an HDR compatibility,
Okay.
but they're not true HDR. So now, from a technical aspect, I'm just thinking, and again, I don't know specifics, but giving the analogies as we do with photography.
Mm-hmm.
The technology behind HDR for TVs, you would think there's just got to be a better quality of the LEDs, LCDs, the pixels, better. Maybe they're brighter. Maybe there's just something that they can transmit just the better quality, or maybe it's something in the electronics which allows them just the different shades and all the different varying luminances and quality to be a true HDR TV. But remember, 4K is just resolution.
Right.
I mean, you could be black and white and be 4K. So that's what I'm thinking the differential is. Some of them saying that they can play an HDR signal, but does it actually display in a true HDR?
But we're nowhere near the terms of 8K TVs being out there.
No.
I mean, maybe abroad.
One,
not here.
One, it's money.
Right.
Two, let's face it, we just got, think about it, 1080
Right.
is just really everywhere now.
1080,
it's broadcast.
And then the 4Ks kind of bottomed out because
Right.
I can technically go to name your box store and walk in there and get a 4K TV for $750 and walk out.
You can get one for a lot less than that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, but
it is becoming so. I mean, the good thing with that is 4K will become the standard at some point. It's in the future still.
Well, until the professional sports, live sports, are streaming at 4K, until that becomes the standard, I mean, these guys got to slow it down a bit.
Well, we got enough, traditional programming that's out there in 4K. Again, the Netflixes of broadcast. A lot of their content is in 4K. I think it really comes down to, just as it took, 50 years for us to get 1080 broadcast over the air.
Right.
It's going to take that long, or who knows how long it's going to take. But it won't be until the time comes when there's 4K broadcast over the air from everyone, that it's an enforced standard, that we see that happen. But then, like you said, then it'll be 8K, and it'll be something else after that.
Then it'll be 8K, and then we'll be talking once again about internet.
Well,
bandwidth.
We're just sucking bandwidth down. But
Yes,
then everyone will be like Fios and fiber to your house.
Fiber to your house is a gig to your house. Big shout out to Fios TV, our good friends at Fios New York. Rich, we had part one of Fix My League, which focused on the NBA, and we briefly touched on MLB.
Yep.
Now we're going to go in a different direction. Good friend Todd Bascom is in the queue. Just want to let you know, Gary Bettman, the outgoing commissioner for the show of the NHL, was relieved of his duties.
Why?
Because Todd Bascom is now the new commissioner of the NHL.
Oh, sorry. Welcome, Todd.
The playoffs have been phenomenal, but Todd's concerned with the growing the product in the United States. Currently, the NHL is in year 6 of a 10-year broadcast deal. Social media and marketing have been outsourced to Major League Baseball's Advanced Media Group. Todd, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Todd, how are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for joining us.
So, Todd, I guess we're going to jump right into this. There won't be any mentions of John Scott ripping PK Subban on this show, but as commissioner, deal that you cut, has NBC Sports, your broadcast partner in the United States, external from CBC and Sportsnet in the Canada and the UK, has NBC Sports failed the NHL with their 10-year, $2 billion deal?
Well, I mean, there was a time where I would say yes to that. I think as a little more time has gone on, I've kind of come around to not really, and that maybe the NHL has failed on the deal a little bit. I think NBC, first of all, their coverage is excellent. I like that they'll get it on the wide array of networks they have. So in the first round or so of the playoffs, you'll have games on USA, CNBC, kind of like what they do at the Olympics.
Okay.
I like that aspect of it. My one complaint with NBC is that I think when we get now to where we're at the conference finals, we need to see the games on the flagship.
Right.
It's you had a lot of the conference final games on NBCSN. Maybe a lot of people don't know where it is. Mm-hmm. I know where it is. I'm a hardcore fan. I'm going to find it. But when you want those casual fans, I guess when you figure cord cutters into the equation, maybe it gets a little crazy. But I kind of see where NBC is coming from on that. I mean, this time of year, you want to get, it's a ratings game, and it's am I going to run the blacklist or I'm going to put the Stanley Cup Finals on? Right. What's going to get me? So I get it. So I think I like the deal as it is. I think when the deal is up, I want to try to see if I'm running at things, I want to try to see if I can get NBC to make a little more concessions when it comes to getting the finals and the conference finals on the network, and not, those games should be on NBC where everyone can see them. And that's, you're going to grow your audience. That's one way you're going to do that. So, I'd say to answer that question, the jury is kind of out on it. It's gone both ways, but we'll see what can be done better come the next year.
Okay, well then, see, now you mentioned casual fans. So Nashville is not one of the original six, hockey teams, as you well know. Who's going to be watching it? Is it better if Canada has a team in the finals to get more viewership? Who's going to be watching it down there, having a Southern team in the finals?
Well, living in a southern city, I live in Raleigh, and as you may know, we have the Hurricanes here.
Yep.
And I can tell you this: when the Hurricanes were good, everybody watched.
Okay.
Everybody went, everybody watched, and the Hurricanes took over, which is very difficult to do in this market, surrounded by Duke, UNC, and NC State basketball. But winning is kind of the great deodorizer. So I think who's going to be watching in Nashville? The whole city. Now, that probably doesn't say much because it's not that big a city, and but my experience with living in the southern market, the whole city is going to be riveted to this thing as long as it's going on. Now, does that interest, the real question is, does that interest stay going?
Right.
And the answer to that is no, if they start to sink in 2 years. So, and we saw that with the Florida Panthers. Mm-hmm. So we had the Panthers, we had the Hurricanes, same thing with the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are bad now. Haven't made playoffs in, 7 seasons. And the the building's half empty. And there's real concerns about the Hurricanes moving. So it's right now for this finals, yes. Who's going to be watching in Nashville? The question is everyone. Is it better to have a Canadian team for ratings? Sure. I mean, you want the Maple Leafs in there, and you want the Canadians or something like that. But the concern really is what happens for Nashville. It's okay, what happens next?
Right.
Is that team going to be good for a while or not? And if they're not, well, then we're going to see interest fade.
Okay.
Are the Penguins an unsung dynasty? And a follow-up question is Sidney Crosby more Mario Lemieux or Wayne Gretzky?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can call the Penguins a dynasty. I think in hockey, in order to be considered, probably most sports, you have to have won so many in a row, I guess.
Okay.
So I wouldn't call them a dynasty. They have a sustained period of excellence, with a cup sprinkled in here and there, and no, I mean, they're not an unsung dynasty because they're not a dynasty right now. I mean, as far as Sidney Crosby goes, what is it? Is he more Gretzky or Lemieux? Wow. I always consider that to be a little bit of the comparisons to Gretzky are natural. I kind of consider it to be a little unfair because to me it's like, for basketball fans, I kind of feel like the LeBron-Jordan comparison isn't fair. I've always felt like the comparison LeBron and Magic would be more accurate as far as the weight of their game. So it's kind of the same thing with Gretzky and Crosby. I mean, Gretzky is the greatest player, in my mind, the greatest hockey player ever. He's kind of mystical. Like when he gets on the ice, you just didn't know what you were going to see, and he always did everything kind of quietly and sneakily. Next thing you know, he's scoring 5 goals, and you don't know what in the world happened. Crosby is a little different in that he's kind of a workhorse player. He's a little more spectacular. He's flashy in some ways. And what's interesting about him, where I think Crosby is he will be considered one of the all-time greats. I'll say that now. But his game is so different. And what's great about Crosby, I think, is that he's not just that he's great offensively. He plays what we in hockey call a 100-foot game, where he's everything you want in a center ice player. He's back on defense. He back checks well. He scores. He passes. He makes plays. He's a much different player than either of them. Lemieux had a little bit more physicality to his game than either of them because of his size. So I think the comparison is a little unfair, but we are watching one of the all-time great players. I'll say that for sure.
All right. Speaking of great players then, future great players possibly, Austin Mathews, Connor McDavid. Are they ready to be the next wave of leaders in the league?
That's a big yes. Connor McDavid, some of the things that I saw him do this season, he is amazing. He's a threat every time he's on the ice. Austin Mathews too, and Austin Mathews, going back to kind of our last question, he has that Lemieux type of ability, I think.
The size. Where
he's got the size. I think as he gets a little older and more mature, he will become a little more assertive on the ice. But he is ready. He's already shown that he's a difference maker. And please, I mean, now there's 10 other guys we can put into this conversation. So some of his teammates, even Marner and Nylander, and Toronto's got 3 of these kids that are ridiculous. And McDavid has Draisaitl in his team. It's you got Jack Eichel in Buffalo. So there's just all kinds of great young talent coming up in the league, and it's going to be exciting, especially because the league is heading more towards the European style of play, where they're kind of slowly but surely legislating the physicality, not out completely, but we're going to see probably in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see more of an Olympic-style game in the NHL, I think. So it's going to be real exciting with those young guys and the skills they have. So, yeah, I'm Austin Mathews, I couldn't believe what I saw out of him. So it was, I knew he'd be good, but I think he was over. I think he scored just over 30 goals. That's crazy for a rookie in this NHL.
Right.
So it's going to be fun to watch. Yeah.
Todd, I think 30 goals and maybe up to 70 assists. Something crazy. Some type of crazy number.
He was phenomenal. And boy, I'm telling you, I mean, if those Leafs become, and I don't know if I can't remember back to what I thought at the beginning. I thought at the beginning of the season they were kind of like, all right, these kids are going to be good. They're not ready yet, and they make the playoffs this year, which I didn't expect. So they're ahead of schedule for sure. So if Toronto gets good, that's going to give the NHL a big boost.
Who are you pulling for in the Stanley Cup? How many games is this going to be?
Well, who am I pulling for? I'd like to see the Predators win, just because I think it's a good story. And I like that a non-traditional market is there, and I want to see those markets do well so that the sport can grow. I think this is a really weird series, and I don't mean to hedge my bet here, but this can be a situation where the Penguins blow Nashville's doors off, and we're looking at 5 games, or Nashville really kind of hunkers down and makes a thing of this, and then we're going to see a 7-game series. I kind of feel like the longer it goes, the more it favors Nashville. Just because. So here's the best way to think of this series, actually. Go back to football, right? Mm-hmm. Remember the 2000 Ravens?
Yes, Ravens and Giants.
Yep.
Ravens, so you had, and the Giants, well, I mean, they had a great defense, too, I believe, that year, but they were known for their offense and all of that. And so that's what you're getting in this series. We're getting the best defensive team in the NHL in Nashville, and we're getting one of the more potentially explosive offensive teams in the league. So it's really what you're asking here is, well, what's better? Defensive play or high-flying offense? So we're going to find out, really. That's what we have here, is we have the defensive kind of prowess, and then Nashville has a goaltender that can just absolutely steal the show here. Pekka Rinne he's one of the best goaltenders in the world. He's shown that throughout this series, throughout the playoffs. And if he continues what he's doing, Pittsburgh's going to have a tough time. They're really going to have a tough time. And they can really slow you down coming through the neutral zone. And between that and the goaltending. I definitely think the Predators can win the series. They're very banged up, so it's going to be a tall order. But so I guess I have to give you an answer, right?
Correct.
That's what I got to do.
It sounds like you made your decision and started changing it a little bit there as you started talking.
I mean, and that's what this series is. It's kind of tough. I'm going to say Nashville wins in 7.
Okay, all right.
I think Pekka Rinne is going to. He's going to have to stand on his head. But I think that I don't have any reason to believe that he won't, because he's been doing it the entire playoffs. And them and the defense of the rest of the team. And Pittsburgh has struggled. They have struggled. A lot of people thought they should have blown Ottawa away. They made pretty easy work of the Capitals, but I mean, me and 5 other guys can do that, I guess, in the playoffs. But they kind of expected to have an easier go of it. I think they're right for the picking, so I'm going to go with Nashville here.
All right, we're going to remember that, and we'll touch base on that when it's all over. Well, you touched on the NFL briefly there for a second, so we're going to relieve you of your NHL duties. Okay. And we're going to put you as wide receivers coach for the Giants. You got your man Odell Beckham there.
Yeah.
What tidbits of wisdom would you give to Odell?
I think the tidbits of wisdom I would give to him I can't say in the air.
Family show.
So, I mean, look, in all seriousness, I would tell him, I would take him into a room and maybe give him a little bit of the Jordan treatment, what he used to do with the teammates. I heard the story about how he slapped Steve Kerr around. I don't know how true that is.
I've heard that story, too.
Yeah. So maybe OBJ needs a little bit of that. And I would basically tell him, hey, man, look, just start being a professional.
Right.
That's really all.
Grow up.
I mean, just start being a professional. Grow up. Get away from the Kardashians and be a man. It's time to be a man. Men win Super Bowls, not little crybabies.
Right. Okay.
And so that's about as much as I can sanitize it for you.
That works.
Yeah. I told Ted not to ask me about Odell, but
so it was a setup there. Huh? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know how it was going to go, but I guess I got through it.
You're good.
Gotcha. Hey, one final question we have for you, Todd. And I know I'm going to see you also in Canada this summer. Could you imagine if it's 2021 and it's time to renegotiate, and once again, you're NFL commissioner, it's time to renegotiate with Fox, NBC, CBS, and ESPN. Do you strictly deal with them? Or do you take the time out and look at the new media of Amazon, Facebook, Google? Do you say goodbye to legacy, or do you go new media?
I think what I do is I kind of do a little of both. I want network TV, because I don't think network TV is going anywhere. Okay. It's over the air, and I think as long as that model is there, it's not going anywhere. And people can still tune in with their antennas and so forth. But I think you do have to explore getting away from cable.
Right.
So the answer there is I think I kind of do a little bit of both. I'm like, I want the network stuff. I want the free over-the-air stuff. Because, I mean, let's face it, it's free. It's for my customers.
Right.
And they don't have to go and hunt for me. But yeah, the new media stuff, I got to be honest, I don't know as much about it. It would require some study for me. But yeah, it looks like things are heading in that direction. I mean, Amazon too. I mean, Netflix even. Who knows? Before we know it, I mean, they might be broadcasting live sporting events. I don't know.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. But definitively, I'm going to try and get away from cable.
Okay.
That I know for sure.
Gotcha. Hey, want to thank you for joining us tonight for the Fix My League episode. Todd Bascom, thank you once again, and I'm sure we're going to be talking very soon.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens at this series, and you can bring me back on to roast me when the Penguins sweep Nashville.
You know we will.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Todd.
Good talking with you, Todd.
No problem.
Thanks
Nice to be here. Thanks.
Take care now. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I hope this episode was enjoyable for the fans.
For the fans, I'm sure it was. Even for the non-fans, I'm sure there's information just to learn how the leagues work.
Yeah.
The business of the leagues, which is
and
what we're
that's
talking about.
That's what was most important. Where not about stats. I don't think there was too many stats. We might have dropped one stat.
That was okay.
Out of the entire discussion.
No problem.
But I don't know. I mean, like I said, if you paid attention to the upfronts that just happened a few weeks ago in the USA, it was all about live sports.
Yes.
More live sports than actual scripted dramas and TV series.
I guess it's because it's getting that much more easy to get live broadcast out there, live content out to people.
Right.
And it's not just broadcast. It's not just cable. It's like you were just mentioning. You can go to you can go to any of the over the internet providers,
yes,
and get your content, and they are more than happy now to give it to you.
That's true. That is true. So, other than that, what do you got cranking for this week?
Vacation. Not going anywhere. This will be the staycation, but I will be at home. Just relaxing a little bit, resting. Probably try to catch some movies, go to the range, do some things like that.
Okay.
I did finish watching 13 Reasons Why.
Pretty good?
We spoke about a couple of weeks ago. Yes.
We'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
Because I don't want to cut it short.
Okay.
I don't want to cut it short. I will tell you this much. I did stream all of season 3 of the 12 Monkeys.
Okay. Yes.
Excellent show. Like I said, released it Netflix style over 3 nights, 10 episodes. Some great stuff.
Okay.
But as we can all see, that's where TV is going, to kind of give the user that binge
That
type of feel or
No, and it's working. And I guess as long as the providers have the money to produce more content, it just works out for them, because now they can just continue putting out shows.
It's true.
See what's good, see what they want to pick up for, second seasons. Well, if it's something that's not good, well, they drop it, and that's it.
Hey, shout out to the show that got canceled, The Get Down.
I think I heard about that.
The most expensive Netflix show ever.
Maybe that's why they said not to.
One season cost $125 million.
Was it that much?
Yep.
Now, see, and that was my era too. I watched the first episode, the double length 2-hour episode, and that was enough.
Gotcha.
And I thought it was good.
Gotcha.
But for me, I didn't see bringing that on as a full series, a full season.
I thought it was like a special event.
Yeah, so did I. But it was a good show. I'm sorry to hear that's going. A lot of people actually were talking about that, which sometimes means they can get enough groundswell up and get it brought back.
That's true. That's true.
You never know.
Baywatch and Aliens. Aliens at the box office dropped 80%. Baywatch, I don't think anyone's going to go see it.
Aliens is not the type of movie where you're going to go see it twice.
Okay.
It's just not. Once you've seen it, you're like, I know the story. Okay, this is good. It was entertaining. Wait for round 3. And like you said, Baywatch.
What in the world? The Rock couldn't even pull that one off.
I mean, The Rock is good and all that. He's entertaining as all heck. But, yeah, no.
Best ways to catch you, Richie V.
The fully embraced Late Night Rich.
Incredible.
On Twitter.
Incredible.
And if it's on Facebook, it's The Real Richie V. And Ted, how do we get you?
Real Ted Hicks. And I think it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
We'll
Have
see
a
you next
great week.
Enjoy your Memorial Day.